Ford's global head of social media, Scott Monty. Scott, by the way, is ranked one of the top 10 influencers in social media by Forbes magazine, and his Mustang has more likes on Facebook than our very own Tom Keene.
Not my Mustang.
Not your Mustang.
Oh, yeah,
Ford's
company
Mustang.
car.
You know, we really have to rip up the script here because Burger King gets hacked, and this has got to be your worst nightmare as a corporate executive in charge of social media.
It was scary yesterday to watch that happen with Burger King. You know, it's the last thing any corporate entity wants to have happen. But, you know, the fans are there, and we've got some of the greatest fans around. They jump out of the woodwork when something goes wrong, and they are absolutely in our defense. And that's the important part of being part of this community, being active, engaging people along the way. They're going to fight for what they believe in, and they believe in Ford.
What is it about the link on here? Let me pull out my iPhone. What is it about the link on this thing that binds me to a brand that is so different from the way we've always done it before?
Well, you know, the way we like to think about it at Ford is, you know, we connect people with other people, whether they're Ford employees, whether they're 100 consumers who are getting a new Ford Fiesta for 6 months to take part in this new Fiesta movement, because people trust people like themselves, right? They don't trust big companies, they don't trust government as much as they used to. Who do they trust? People like themselves.
So if it's in your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed, you say, oh, yeah, part of the club. I know these guys. I trust them.
Exactly.
But this is really more than just a marketing strategy at this point, isn't it?
Well, we've been doing social media for upwards of 5 years in a strategic way. You know, before that we were doing it as something of a hobby, and now it's part of everything we do. It's part of all of our communications tactics. It's part of all of our marketing. We're actually looking to build it more into the business fabric of Ford Motor Company.
Is there any way to quantify the impact on the business from Ford not having taken a government bailout, but certainly struggling and marking a comeback in the last year or so?
Yeah, I think for the most part, social media is most effective in the upper part of the sales funnel. If you look at awareness and consideration, those are the things that we're really able to track, and it's very similar to traditional PR or communications. When we get farther down the sales funnel, that's where we're going to be looking to make an impact in the future as to how we can tie specific sales to social media impact.
Well, Paul Sweeney is with us. Lucky us. He's from Bloomberg Industries, and you cover all of these social media companies that Scott has to work with.
Yeah, one of the things we've seen Facebook, we've seen Twitter, we've seen a lot of these internet companies try to embed a little bit more advertising into their business models. What's the feedback been from some of your customers as they start to see more Ford ads? Yeah,
well, when you look at most consumers have been getting this for free for a long time, and they're used to it that way. So when they see ads, it's a little bit intrusive because people aren't there for advertising. They're there to interact with other people, right? So it's up to us. It's our responsibility as marketers to really share content that makes them look good. Obviously, it makes us look good by association, but we want them to share. And they're not going to just share an ad. They're going to share something that's inspiring or that connects with them emotionally or that's funny, right? And that's our challenge as marketers, to stop thinking like traditional marketers and start thinking like consumers.
And Scott, for the benefit of the viewers who and listeners on Bloomberg Radio who aren't aware, you have this new ad campaign, in fact, being created by users. If they come up with an idea, you give them a car and they tell the story. Talk to us about how that works.
Well, we're announcing it today. Fiesta Movement, which is our B car, one of our smaller cars. Great fuel efficiency, lots of fun to drive, high technology for this small segment. People are going to be surprised. Now, the car has been out for about 4 years, but this is a refresh, and we're giving 100 digital influencers an opportunity to try it before anybody else for 6 months. The content that they create over the course of the next 6 months is actually going to be used for our commercials.
So driving around and with your own iPhone in a car given to you by Ford, doesn't cost you a dime, you guys buy the gas, you basically create your own commercial and turn it in, and then you guys...
Sounds like you've got a taker here.
Yeah.
We may.
Paul Sweeney, how smart are corporations like Ford and others when it comes to social media?
I think we're in the very early stages, and quite frankly, not a lot of advertisers are embracing social media because it is new. They're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But some of the leaders that we've seen in there are really embracing social media. It's actually, if you think about the overall internet, the fastest growth of ad spending is on social media. So it is clearly there. It's clearly a big business.
What's the mistake they make?
Well, I think some of the mistakes they're making, is, as you hear some of the feedback, is they are probably a little bit over the top with the promotional and the sales aspect, as opposed to, I think they're kind of violating some of the community aspects that we see in some social media. So they need to be very careful of that.
Scott, is there a difference in how you might use social media in the U.S. versus Europe? And we just heard today that Ford sales were down 26% in January in Europe. Is there a difference there when you're looking at the overall market?
Well, in principle, it's pretty much the same. We have an overarching strategy, which is first create great products. And we've been working on that. We've been executing the One Ford plan for the last 6 years. And we've got the products to prove it now. The second thing is create engaging content. You know, give people something to share and to engage with. Let them speak, right? This is a two-way platform. People expect to be heard these days, and we need to speak like them. We can't speak like lawyers. We can't speak like a press release. We can't speak like traditional advertising. Above all of that, we wrap listening around that so we can understand, are we making the great products? Do we have engaging content? Are we speaking like them? And market by market, it's going to vary in terms of the platform that they use. Of course, Facebook is now pretty much everywhere, not China, but you know, market by market, the actual tactics vary. But those principles are what guide us as a global corporation.
Well, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, Google+. Which is the most effective one for you?
Well, it depends on what we're trying to do, really. Twitter is really great for customer service, for, you know, real-time response. Facebook is great for engaging people around perhaps something a little more time-stretched. We've got a site called social.ford.com where we get into depth and we actually give people a chance to submit their own stories, their inspirations of Ford, and their ideas for Ford products, quite frankly. So the platform varies based on what we're trying to achieve.
How many people work on the social media team at Ford?
Not enough.
Not enough. Well, clearly it's not just for interns keeping up the Facebook page anymore. Scott Monty, thanks for joining us this morning here at Bloomberg. Scott Monty is the head of social media for Ford.